Hello. All right, you're probably wondering what the heck this video is about. Everybody raise their hand if they've been screwed over or ripped off by anyone. I. And I'm sure a few of you watching probably have had a situation where you felt ripped off, screwed over, burned, etc. So why am I making this video, and is it gonna turn positive at some point? Yes. There's a really good moral to the story eventually, I promise you. But this is probably how I can summarize what I'm about to tell you, and the story I'm about to tell you is that it's a really solid cautionary tale, so you can learn from my mistakes. And also, if you have experienced something where you felt screwed over, ripped off, or a complete lack of trust, it is probably the best thing that ever happened to you. And believe me, it's taken some time for me to get here. But the reason I wanted to make this also is that we are in a really weird time that is so magical, but also really dangerous, because who the hell knows who we can actually believe and trust right now, especially in the online space. And there's a lot of promises made, and there's a lot of aesthetically pleasing things out there that make you go, oh, that person must be legit. But it just needs to go so much more beyond that, because you can't believe everything you see. And so I wanted to share this story, not to smack talk anyone, that's not my style, but in hopes that this will reframe a bad situation that might have happened to you. Whether that is a breakup, whether that's a bad friendship, whether that's a bad investment, a bad decision, whatever it may be, I'm hoping by the end of this video that it turns into the best thing that's ever happened to you, and we're gonna turn that negative into a positive. So let me know if this is interesting to you. Give me a like below and comment below, and I hope you watch the whole thing, because I think you're gonna get a lot out of this. And I honestly do feel a little uncomfortable sharing this, because I just never want to come across like I'm bad-mouthing anyone, or it's just not who I am. And honestly, this happened so long ago that like it's weird for me to revisit, but some things have happened recently in my business where it just was like a lot of reflecting happened, because we've come a really long way. And I have a lot of pinch me moments about where we're at in the business right now, because we are generating, multiple millions a year, and our clients are getting insane results, like results where I'm like, what? Did I do that? And I'm not doing it, I'm providing the system to do it, but the clients are doing the work following that system, and they're getting the most amazing results, and I'm helping people be their own boss, cheers, build their businesses from the ground up and monetize their experience and expertise, and it's just the coolest thing ever. And like, I've gone on that journey myself, and I know what it was like for me at the very beginning, and it's scary as hell when you're starting out. And so I wanted to kind of share this situation in hopes that it helps you in making the right decisions and learning from my mistakes when you are starting your business, or when you are making a decision that maybe is a little bit scary for you. Okay, now that I've said all that, so basically a couple years ago, started my business from scratch. I was filming my videos in my tiny little apartment, and I'm sure you might have heard this story before, but filming my videos in this tiny little apartment with a stack of books as my tripod. And I was making one YouTube video a week, and I was running a tiny little consultancy that I'd been running for a few years prior, but it was the first time I brought my business online. And this whole online space, I get an amen, but it is overwhelming. There's so many experts. There's so many people who look like experts and talk like experts, but maybe aren't experts. There's so many people who look aesthetically like they're killing it, and it is confusing. You're like, do I trust you? Are you real? I don't know. And so when I got into it, I was in the same boat, and I was like, okay, well, I know this is a new world for me, because I built my business mainly offline and locally here in Vancouver. So this whole online space, I didn't even know what an online course was at this point in my life. And so I needed somebody to mentor me, because I do really, really believe in mentorship. I really believe in hiring the people who have done the things that you want to do. And I swear to you, that's the biggest reason that I've been able to fast track the way that I have. But in saying that, you also have to be really cautious with who you invest in. So at the time, I was in a situation where my financial situation was not amazing. And you can watch this video on Simple Steps to Financial Freedom, where I kind of talk about how I got myself from a place of being in debt to financially thriving, and the whole plan for that. But at this time, I was not in a good financial situation. So I wasn't financially in a great situation. I was going through like a lot of crap in my personal life. And I also just was stressed all the time because I had this little consultancy that I was running for 5 years. One of my clients went bankrupt, and then I didn't know how I was going to pay my bills or pay my rent. And I actually was asking my parents for help with rent, which to this day is just like, ugh, the worst feeling. But it is what it is. My parents are wonderful and were able to help, thank goodness. But it was tough and it was really humbling. And when you're in a position like that, when you're vulnerable at all, and anyone who's trying to do anything in their life has a level of vulnerability because you're putting yourself out there, whether that's asking a person on a date or starting a business, doesn't matter. There's a level of vulnerability to it. So I was in a vulnerable spot, and that's a dangerous place to be making decisions from, especially financially, because you really can only operate from two levels when you're like that. You can take your time and operate from a place of what you want to call like your highest self, your highest version of yourself, or you're operating from this place of insecurity, scarcity, and kind of just grabbing at anything that looks like it'll work. So I was in this side of the camp, and I was grabbing at anything that looked like it might work. And that is dangerous because a lot of things look like they're going to help you and work, and they don't, or they can't. And so I invested, the total investment was about $30,000 that I didn't have. And so I had to put it on a line of credit, and I made an arrangement, which thank goodness, to pay $10,000, like a payment plan. And it was to this particular company who was offering online business mentorship. And I'm not going to say the name, Godspeed and good luck. Sure, things are much better now. The situation though, basically was that I invested this money. It didn't work. Not saying that like, it didn't work because I didn't do the work. It was because there was two factors. They were ill-prepared in qualifying me. I wasn't at a stage where I was ready for the help that they were providing. And they didn't know who their ideal client was. So they were just taking anybody, which as a business owner, that's a huge lesson. You don't want to work with just anybody because not everybody is prepared to work with you and actually get results. And when people don't get results, they get really frustrated. So I wasn't prepared because one, I spent the $10,000 on a line of credit, and then I was told you have to invest in X, Y, and Z to actually make this work, which was like another couple $1,000s. And I was like, I don't know where you expect me to get that from. And I'm also a believer now that I've been through this and I'm doing this work myself. You don't need to spend a lot of money in order to start your business. I made a whole video on that too. How I started my business for less than $100. Because you can start scrappy, especially with an online business, especially with an online coaching business or course business. So it wasn't a fit on either side. And it was extremely frustrating and extremely disheartening. And I'm a pretty logical person. And I was like, you know what? This was a fault on both sides. Like, let's just make an arrangement. I don't even need a full refund. Let's just make an arrangement to figure this out. And it was a no-go zone. And I didn't get my money back. And it was really embarrassing, really crappy experience. And it really rocked my trust. So then what happened was that I basically felt like every single person I saw was a fraud. And every coach was full of crap. And it made me question everyone and everything, which actually has been a really good thing and a huge blessing out of this situation. And that's why I'm saying the worst things that happen to you are probably the best things that happen to you, because it made me be much more critical in my thinking and also step into the highest version of myself from a place of thoughtfulness, abundance, cautious decision-making, research-based decision-making, rather than being like, that looks like a quick fix, I'm just gonna grab it, because that was my bad. And I think the biggest thing for me out of this was that I had to take radical accountability for my own actions. The best quote that someone said to me during this time was holding revenge towards somebody, or staying mad at somebody or a company is like drinking poison and expecting the other person to die. basically you're killing yourself slowly by holding onto all of that bad energy and putting it out into the world, and also just holding on to it for yourself. And it keeps you also in this lower version of yourself where you're constantly just feeling scarce, afraid, and like everybody's gonna screw you. And when you make decisions from that place, you're in a danger spot. So let me know if that makes sense to you in the comments below. But I then really was cautious in who I invested in. And I was really cautious about anyone that I trusted. I also, for me, the biggest lesson that came out of this was that I needed to always remember what that felt like. And it's years later now, like it's 4 or 5 years later now. I still remember what it felt like when I got repeated emails saying, no refund, we can't give you your money back, best of luck. It felt awful, and it felt like I had been screwed and been ripped off. And in reality, that's how it felt for me, but that's not the situation when you look at it. The situation was, this person was offering a service, this company was offering a service. I believed they could fulfill it. And they didn't do their research onto who I was and where I was at in my business, realizing, oh, this isn't even a match. We're not even able to help her for the point she's at in her business. We should send her to somebody else first. And that's the value of true abundance, because this person was also coming from a place of scarcity, because they just wanted to grab money and take any client they could, as opposed to a place of abundance being like, you know what, you're maybe not the right fit for me, but there's this other person who's perfect for someone at your stage. And I will do that too, because I don't want to work with people who aren't a fit, because it doesn't work out for either side. And so the big lesson is that, yes, this was a thing that happened, but it also was the greatest thing that happened to me. And I look back now, and I think maybe this is part of like growing up, so mature. Any bad situation that's happened in my life, or any sort of situation where I've lost trust in somebody or been ripped off or been screwed over, one, it's just a part of growth. I wish I could tell you that it's gonna be sunshine and puppy noses for the rest of your journey. It's not. That's just not real life. You're gonna make bad decisions. You're gonna make mistakes. You're gonna get ripped off. But the biggest thing for me is that I never stopped moving forward. And I always found a way to be grateful for the lesson out of that situation. And my big lesson out of that situation is that I will never treat people like that. Oh, I just spat. I will never treat people like that. And I will always do my due diligence with anybody who wants to apply to work with us in being sure that they're actually a fit. And that could cost me it financially, but it makes me have peace of mind emotionally and mentally. And if you're just starting your business, it's a hard thing to do, because you are in that place where you're just like, give me the clients, like I'm hungry, I want business, da, 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 da. But I hope this is a cautionary tale on both sides, that you don't want to work with just anybody. You want to work with the right people, and you also want to do your research, and you want to work with people who actually have done the things that you want to do and haven't just said they've done things that you wanted to do. So social proof is so important. Checking people's receipts, checking people's results and testimonials, checking that they actually have a good reputation is vital to making better decisions. And it's a big part of being a grown-up business owner. You have to make good decisions, but you don't have to be perfect all the time. And if something bad happens, just take it from me. Like, I remember when that $10,000 on my line of credit nearly killed me. Literally, like I was so stressed out about it because I didn't have the money. And today we have done $6 million in revenue in my business from then to now. And if I had let that one situation dictate how I was going to move forward, I would have just went and got a job. I would have stayed safe. And this is where something called cognitive bias comes in. There's a whole bunch of different forms of it. But basically what it means is that if a situation happens to you or you have an experience, that becomes your belief system. So case in point, you go to the dentist, have a really bad situation, you're like, I hate all dentists. They're all the worst and I'm never going back. That affects your health. That causes you to, maybe have dental problems later on in life or have issues with your mouth, da, 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 da. So you're only hurting yourself by having that belief system and not being open-minded to changing it, and also blaming something external as opposed to looking at yourself and being like, well, why did I go to that dentist? I didn't do enough research. I should ask a friend for a referral so you can be proactive about making the change. So my cognitive bias at the time after the situation happened was that all coaches are bull and I should never invest in anybody again. But once I did my research, I found the people who were actually good at this, who I could trust, who had all the social proof. Then coaching has changed my life. Having people mentor me who are way above where I wanted to be has changed my life, and it's been the best investments I've ever made. So don't let that one situation turn into protecting yourself because you are in that scarce state of mind and you never want to take the leap to invest in anything else again, because your growth is possible. If somebody else is doing it, why can't you? It just comes down to taking radical accountability for your decisions and also finding the gratitude and the lesson in any bad or crappy situation that has happened to you so that you can move on from it. Because we all know those people who one bad thing happens, or maybe they go through one bad relationship, they never date again. They close themselves off. The same thing can happen in your business if you have one bad situation and you never move on from it, because your innate human reaction is to protect yourself and to never put yourself in that situation again. But if you take the precautions and you make the decision from your highest self, from a place of doing the research, of knowing it's the right person, and of abundance, it will work itself out. So anyways, this is my long-winded story to you and cautionary tale to you of not believing everything you see, really doing your due diligence and not just grabbing at something because it looks like a quick fix, because nothing is a quick fix. Everything takes time. Everything takes patience. Anything worth having and working for is going to be hard. It's going to be hard. It'll get easy at some point, but it will be hard in the beginning. So yeah, that's all I really wanted to say. And I hope this was helpful in some sort of way. And if this hit home for you or resonated with you, let me know in the comments below. Give this video a like, share it with somebody who maybe needs to hear this, and be sure to subscribe for new videos every week. And sometimes we do 2, sometimes we do 3, sometimes we do more. But lots of good info on this channel for people who are wanting to be their own boss. You are already your own boss and you want to just keep growing. So again, this was pretty uncomfortable for me to share and just feels kind of weird to share because I've kept this to myself for so long. I've kind of alluded to it before, but I think it's important to share things like this so that it can help maybe one person, maybe more. So let me know in the comments. But anyways, I love you. Thank you for being here. I'm excited for all the new content coming up on this channel, so stay tuned because there's new videos coming up tomorrow and the next day and all the things. And if you want more information on how to be your own boss, how to build a business from the ground up and do it in a way that feels right for you, make sure you check out the videos around this video as well. I'll talk to you soon.